rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is now 7:03 a.m. and you're listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast, y'all. It is March the 10th, Wednesday, 2021. What it do? Wake it up, wake it up, wake it up, baby. Good to talk to you guys today. I almost said good to see you, but I can't see you at the moment. If I was able to see you, you might call me a creeper or say that I was lurking, because you'd be like, how did he get into my room or my kitchen or my bathroom and watch me brushing my teeth or something as I listen to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. So we got a lot to talk to you guys about today. Got some things to go over. Good amount of news. So without further delay, we are going to get into it and let you guys know what's popping. Alive Teen Center, once again in the news, making news with us. They have two great initiatives going on right now. The first is a sock drive happening at their Naperville location. That's on 5th Avenue, at the 5th Avenue station down there. Really cool stuff. They are a great organization dedicated to teens. It's teen-led, teen-driven, and the focus is on teens. So the sock drive that they have going on, that is the drop-off location. You can bring your socks, please no hand-me-down socks. That would be disgusting and gross. But you can bring those socks there to the team and drop them off and let them know that you heard about it on Good Morning Aurora. All sizes, all styles, 500 West 5th Avenue. That goes until March 12th. For questions or any information, you can email Lauren at alivecenter.org. Shouts out. Also got some March activities taking place. March is the month of expectation, as was written by Emily Dickinson. Rainbow Oobleck Pac-Man tournament, still life guided drawing lesson, and more. The 19th of this month, there's March Madness and Murder, and on the 29th through April 1st, Express Yourself Spring Break Camp. Shouts out to the Alive Center, and stay tuned because, well, that's all I'm going to say. The Masters revealed. Visual Arts has a show coming up on April 2nd, that Friday, first Friday to return, and this is going to be a kickoff from 5 to 8:30 p.m. at Gallery 1904 at 1 East Benton. That's the basement of Benton, and if you recall, Good Morning Aurora did a lot of filming there. Featured artists are Maureen Gassick, Josue Paz, John Cornelison, Betty Kolar, Mary Ellen Newton, Joe Gagnapane, Soterios Gardiakos, Chaz Naponsky, and Patty Fine Vander Sandy. Shouts out. DJ Venom will be playing music, and face masks are required indoors. For more information, stay tuned with us here, and we will tell you guys all about it. And by tell you guys all about it, we might go holler at them. I don't know yet. I got to see what the hell we going to do about that. All right. So, Wednesday, baby toddler story time at 11 o'clock a.m. Registration is required for that. Tomorrow, lots of stuff going on tomorrow with the Aurora Public Library. There's preschool story time at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday. Registration is required for that. Preparing your home for sale at 6:30 p.m. Registration is required. Zumba party at 6:30 p.m. Registration is required. And teen trivia, women's history at 7 o'clock p.m. Registration is required for that. Shouts out to the Aurora Public Library and all the great stuff we got going on, or they got going on, rather. Excuse me. And then last but not least for you guys in the news today, on the 12th, which is Friday, right? Is Friday the 12th? Friday is the 12th. Let's talk with Illinois Treasurer Michael Frerichs from noon to 1 p.m. What does the Treasurer's Office do? How do they ensure your money is properly handled? Find out how the Illinois Treasurer's Office works at this special Zoom event with the Treasurer, Mr. Michael Frerichs. Brought to us by many chambers of commerce, including the Quad County African American Chamber of Commerce. Shouts go out. Sunday, May 23rd, Middle East Conflicts Wall of Honor Car Show. Motorcycles, cars, and food. Sunday the 23rd. Music and a flag ceremony. Park and ride at Orchard and Mill in Oswego. Excuse me. Registration's $15. Registration's from 8 to 10 a.m. 11 to 3 is the show. And noon is the flag ceremony. Flag ceremony is provided by the Oswego Fire Department. Food provided by the Oswego American Legion and JB Mobile Munchies. Entertainment provided by the Carousel Sound Company. Very cool. Sponsored by AutoSmart. Shouts out to all of our veterans and shouts out to AutoSmart and Oswego for putting on this great initiative. Last but not least, don't forget Rotary Club has a scavenger hunt going on coming up on May 14th. Get ready. Teaming up with Ballydoyle at 28 West New York Street downtown. Shouts out. They're going to be putting on this great scavenger hunt that will encompass all of downtown Aurora. There are prizes, a raffle, and a 50-50. Stay tuned for that. We've posted that information, but we will make sure that you guys keep getting that. Well, I guess that is the news. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
First time we saw each other was at Society 57.
Yes.
Which is a lot better. Have you had your coffee yet?
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, okay. Learning already.
I am a tea person.
Okay.
But no, I haven't had it yet.
All right. For our listeners and our viewers, let us know who you are.
I am Stacey Montgomery,
Okay.
and I am a social emotional learning innovator. My company is Stacey M Designs. My mission is to empower kids.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I grew up in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Oh.
I'm definitely an East Coast person. I went to college in New York, and I went to graduate school in Boston.
Okay. All right. What are the similarities, if any, in the Aurora experience or this experience in Connecticut East Coast?
Well, it's similar. The weather, you know, you have definite seasons. Very cold winters, snow. So yeah, that's a big similarity there.
You also have family in Connecticut? You're the first person I've ever met from Connecticut.
No, I don't. We lived in Connecticut only for a short time, or at least I was born there and we moved not too long, maybe about 2 years or so after I was born. My father was an itinerant minister, so he went where the church sent him.
Gotcha.
He was with the AME church. So we didn't have any family, extended family there. And most of my extended family is in South Carolina, some in New York, a lot in Michigan, Mississippi, Alabama, and some in California.
Interesting.
But
East
pretty,
Coast.
Right, but pretty much none in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut.
Okay. All right. Now, grad school in Boston?
Yes.
What was that like? Talk about that.
Yeah, well, what was Boston? Boston was okay, you know. Not my favorite place, but, you know, it was okay. I went to college in New York, and that was wonderful. I love New York. Yeah, it's very different from Aurora, you know, or even Chicago. You know, the vibe is completely different. But what I loved about it, and I specifically chose to go to school in a big city because I had always lived in the suburbs. Okay. Always. Like the suburbs of Philadelphia, never in Philadelphia, you know? And then South Jersey, which is basically a suburb of Philadelphia. And so when it was time to pick out colleges, number one goal was to go to a good school. But number two was to go in a city. Right. And so why not New York? I just loved it. You know, Columbia was, that experience was one of my best experiences of my life. It was just fun, a great school. I mean, just the it's so alive in New York all of the time. All of the time.
There is that saying that if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Is that true? I
absolutely think that's true.
Okay.
I went to school there, and then I worked there for a year after I graduated. Um, I chose not to, live there long
Right,
term
right.
because, I wanted more, more experiences, and but it was fun for college. It was definitely fun for college.
Interesting. New York. Okay. I have not been to New York yet. I got to go and see what all the. My mom likes it. She thought it was a great place. Great place. Now you. Next question, and you mentioned your father briefly, but growing up, what impact did your father have in your life?
Well, he was the kindest man I know. He died in 1997, but was just a very kind man, very driven, very focused, and education was of the utmost importance to him. I mean, he was all about education, and he also instilled, along with my mother, believing in myself and believing that I can do anything I want. From the time I was maybe, I don't know, as far back as I can remember, 3 years old or whatever, I wanted to be a doctor. Decided I wanted to be a pediatrician. I love my pediatrician. And he was like, okay, that's what you do. And I later, first year in college, I really embraced the fact that I couldn't stand science. So I didn't end up going that way.
Yeah.
But he always, he was a big supporter. But, his thing with education, being in a black family, my father was quite a bit older than my mother. He was like 20 years older than my mother. I mean, he was very involved in the civil rights movement. He was a lot of marches with Martin Luther King. He was an African American. African Methodist Episcopal minister. And he was from Charleston, South Carolina. I mean, he had a lot of experiences related to civil rights and race relations and that type of thing. And his thing was always with us, you can do anything you want. The fact that this country was the way it was is not going to stop you. And I need you to believe that. And we always believe that. I never had a doubt in my mind that, if I want to be a doctor, that's what I'm going to be. I want to go to this school, that's where I'm going to go. There was never a doubt in my mind. Never. And so I think that's the greatest thing that he instilled in me. And we weren't wealthy people. Some of the neighborhoods that we lived in weren't that great. And we didn't have a lot, but I always felt that I had a lot. I mean, we never wanted for anything, because I don't know. It was just like I loved my childhood. I had a great childhood.
What did your mother do?
My mother was a teacher.
Teacher.
She's retired. She's lives in California now with my sister. But yeah, she taught in the school district of Philadelphia. For years.
Do you think that the youth of today still have that disposition and outlook of positive mobility, even though things are rocky?
I don't know. It's no. I mean that's a big generalization, but I think because of technology and we are exposed to so much good and bad. And that really can impact your spirit and the bad stuff. And that is one of the reasons that I do what I do. Children, adults as well, are exposed to so much negativity from the media, all media. And also the media has informed our opinions of ourselves, unfortunately. And so, if the media, shows that you are, looking at African Americans, that you you only need help to achieve. You can only get to this college if you have because of affirmative action. It can't be because you have earned it. It can't be because your
You're
grades show it.
talented,
It can't
right.
be because your talent. This is the only reason that you could have achieved here, because there was a black spot and you were chosen to fill that. You're not beautiful unless you look a certain way, unless your hair is a certain way, unless you have a certain clothes. The media does this, and not only the media. The community does this in many ways. So I think it's much more difficult. I think that's why it's important for the schools to step up a lot more than they have. And sometimes you get these messages. You have a strong family presence. Your parents do a great job of helping you believe in yourself and all of that, giving you confidence. But even if they do the best job that they could possibly do, you step outside the house, you see all of this, you see all of that. You get these voices in your ears, whether it's from the media, from your peers, from your teachers, from politicians, from celebrities. You get all this stuff in your ear, and it's hard to work through that yourself.
Right.
It really is.
Right. They have, excuse me, they've got large money and a targeted message versus the person who's opening up or turning on the TV just trying to get something. What do you think has a stronger impact on children? Now, we know in American history, curriculums have never been, overly sympathetic to different ethnicities and cultures or whatever, but what do you think has a bigger impact on kids? The curriculum or a teacher?
Teacher. Absolutely, a teacher. Absolutely. And I hesitate to use the word good, but I'm going to use it anyway. A good teacher can take whatever they're given and deliver it in a way that it works. So, for example, there's been a lot of talk recently about bias in education, bias in materials, racism in books and things like that. A few days ago, last week, there was an article about Dr. Seuss books. But there are books with all kinds of bias in schools, and I've had conversations with teachers about this. In fact, I did a webinar last summer about, anti-racist education. But, so you can have a book that is full of bias, whatever that bias might be, whether it's race, religion, gender, or whatever. You can have a book that has bias. A good teacher will recognize that and can still use that book to teach not only whatever the subject matter is, whether it's history, math, or whatever, but also use that book to teach about the bias. So it's not that we don't have good materials. It's not that may be true. You may not have the best materials. That may be true, but a good teacher will take what they have and use their training, their education, their experience, and their understanding to teach kids what they need to know from what they have in front of them to use. It's not always complaining and blaming the materials is it's an excuse.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying that that materials shouldn't be better. They should be. But you can't wait. Your children, your learners are in front of you today. Okay? The new curriculum, the better materials may not come for 5 years. So what's going to happen to the 25 students that are in your class every day now?
Right.
Right.
So we're currently in a period, and then we're going to get into your work, your company, your initiatives. We're currently in a period where we find ourselves in the remote learning. My question is, at this moment, is technology hindering or helping the overall educational experience. So we don't expect this to last for another 5 years.
Right,
We
right.
don't. We don't expect it to last for another 1 year. But I'm asking, like, has damage been done, or have we at least identified that things can be better with fusing technology in a crisis?
Oh, that's a tough question because we are in remote learning because, circumstances necessitate it. So without remote learning, and what happens? What would this year have been like if there was no technology was not available to do remote learning? I'm not sure where we would be. What this year would have looked like. The circumstance has, in my opinion, caused some damage. But I don't blame it on the remote learning, even though that is
Sure. Sure.
Because it's not as if schools, you can call the district, you can call the state, you can call whatever you want, you can identify whoever you want to quote unquote blame for this, but technology helped. Definitely help, but remote learning has not been a healthy experience for many kids.
Right.
It really hasn't. My son who is in college, he goes to COD. He is not a student, a learner who does well with remote. I have many friends, many customers who have kids going in preschool, in kindergarten, and first grade. And remote learning is a challenge. For a preschool or a kindergarten, it could be their first experience with school, and it just it doesn't work very well.
Right.
There are other kids, learners who their parents report they thrived because the in-school experience had many other challenges.
Right. For some students, it was overwhelming.
Exactly. So, I think going forward, remote learning isn't going to go away. I mean, mass remote learning will, but snow days may not happen anymore.
Right.
Because you got your Chromebook. So.
Excellent point. Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
Students. I know that some schools, especially high schools, have had online options for certain classes. That's been around for a while.
Right.
So I think that schools are going to figure out how to incorporate technology in different ways that they didn't really think about or consider, at least not right now, to supplement the standard in the classroom situation.
Let's talk SEL, and let's talk your program.
Okay.
Let us know the name of it and when it started.
Okay, so SEL is social emotional learning. There is a very long definition of that,
Okay.
but the way I like to describe it, it is the way that kids perceive themselves, the way they perceive others, and the way they kind of communicate and interact with the world around them.
Okay.
So, in Illinois, SEL is mandated. The Illinois Education Board is required. So all schools in Illinois have social emotional learning.
Okay.
It is a significant part of their curriculum, and it's been that way for some time. And there are many, programs out there, large, all-encompassing programs that cover every aspect of social-emotional learning that schools use. My program is designed to supplement that, and it's designed to focus on pretty much one specific thing, aspect of social emotional learning called social awareness, self-awareness. And My program is called Why is Different Awesome, and it's based on a guided journal that I published by the same name, Why is Different Awesome, and it's designed to help kids really embrace what it is about them that's different. It's designed to help kids learn to respect others and to respect the differences in others. And the overall goal is to build an inclusive community. So let me step back, to give you some background and some history as to why, I developed this program. So as I mentioned before, I have a son. He's 20 now, and he has ADHD, and he's also on the spectrum. And he went through Naperville schools, 204.
When you say the spectrum, you refer to autism.
Yes. Yes, and he went through public schools, Naperville, 204. We live on the east side of Aurora, and his experience overall wasn't great. Elementary, preschool, Prairie Children Preschool, Brooks Elementary, those were okay. There were some issues there. As he kind of got toward upper elementary, the bullying started. And then he went to Granger, and the bullying really started. And then in Matia, it was ever present. And even beyond the bullying, he was never embraced as an integral part of those school communities. He was an outsider. He was an other. And he was not the only student like that. And in talking to parents now, this happens every day. Every day there are students that walk to school, that get on the school bus, that go into that building. And of course now we're in remote, but let's take that out of the equation for a moment. Every day walk into that school building and are absolutely miserable. And they're not miserable because the academics are hard. That may be true, but that isn't the main reason that they're miserable. They're unhappy because they don't feel welcome. And so, schools recognize this, and they have they do things to try to help. With my son, the schools try to help, and but this is my issue with the help that they tried to give him. And other students that were experiencing the same thing. They said, okay, so these are the reasons why, you may not have many friends. And if you change those things, then the students will like you. And
that's it. All you got to do.
Right, and of course, those aren't the words they use,
right.
But that's what it comes down to.
Right.
So I'm sure. Students. Some students, for a variety of reasons, may need to work on their social skills. I get that, but at the end of the day, if you, we are who we are, and sometimes, and if we have certain conditions, those conditions are going to inform who we are, how we'll behave, and things like that. And so to basically put the burden on the child who has been left out to fix the problem, that in and of itself takes away the power of that child, makes a child feel less than, makes a child feel unempowered. The better solution, the better strategy is to teach all the kids that all of the kids should be welcome. That it is okay if this kid may have, what you might describe as unusual mannerisms. It's okay if this child is quiet. It's okay if this child likes to do things a little bit differently. It's okay if this child isn't good at sports. That's all okay. You are still, part of this community. And we want to make you feel welcome. So all kids should get the same message, of including everyone. But that is not what happens,
right.
On a widespread basis. That is not the messaging which is consistently given. And that is what my program is designed to address. You know, no kid should feel like they are the other.
Why is different awesome?
Yes.
In that title, it makes the person who may be the person who's different. Can you hold up and show the photo? That's awesome. In the title, what I like about it is that if I'm the person who's different,
and everyone is,
right? But if it's me who has a speech impediment, if it's me who's on the scale, or spectrum, if it's me who has braces, and if it's me who has braces on my feet, I'm awesome.
Exactly. You are fine just the way you are. And, you know, we want kids, people, adults, everybody, to be the best versions of yourselves, okay? So, you know, so again, the student may need to work on their social skills. That's fine.
Sure.
You know,
Who doesn't? Right?
Exactly. Who doesn't?
Right.
You know, just like another student may need to work on their math. You know, maybe math is a struggle. Maybe spelling's a struggle. Whatever it is. You know, maybe a student wants to play basketball, but needs to work on skills. We all need to work on things. That's fine. But we can't fundamentally change people. You know, I was born black. I can't be anything but that. You know, my skin color is not going to change. So let's teach all kids to accept, all students, no matter what they look like, no matter what their abilities or disabilities are, no matter what their interests are, just, accept them. And accepting someone doesn't mean that everybody has to be best friends.
No.
No. But what it means is that you don't bully them. It means that, that you have a problem with somebody else bullying them.
Right.
It means that you become an upstander. It means that you understand, what it means to be a friend.
Right.
What friendship means. And my program has 10 lessons, and it covers all of these, many topics. Say no to bullying, disability awareness, say no to racism, being an upstander. What is friendship? What is being mean? It talks about gratitude, and it talks about community. And the goal is, okay, this is for elementary school, 4th and 5th grade. So elementary schools around here, often have maybe 2 or 3 4th grade classrooms, 2 or 3 5th grade classrooms. Each classroom maybe have 20 to 25 students. Okay, so that's your classroom is your community. Your school is a community. But what is being taught here is to understand the concept of community, so that it goes beyond this classroom. It goes beyond this school. It goes into Aurora, it goes into Illinois, it goes into the United States, it goes into the world. This is a community that we live in, and we want to get along. We don't have to agree on everything, but we want to respect each other. And so what this program teaches is real world application.
Right. And
one way that's done is the lessons have 3 parts. There's a remote version of this program that's also like an in-class version. But both versions have 3 parts. One is the learning part. And that is where the teacher just talks about whatever the theme is.
Okay.
And then the second part is the journaling. Each student gets a copy of this book, and after each lesson, they're told to go to the book and journal about something. And then the third part is the sharing part. And to me, all parts are important, but that part is very, very critical, because this is about getting along and respecting yourself and other people. So you need to have conversations with other people. So the sharing part, if you're in a classroom setting, the teacher will facilitate conversations among the students. Let's say they're talking about bullying in a lesson, and they have to journal about bullying. And so the students are encouraged to share what they wrote about. They're not required to. No one's ever required to talk about what they wrote about, but they are encouraged through conversation starters to kind of talk to each other about their experiences. If they are in a remote learning environment, and there is an at-home version of this as well, they are encouraged to speak to their parents about these things. Mm-hmm. And those conversations produce aha moments. And in some instances, the children, the students are encouraged to challenge parents. Ask them about their experiences. Ask them about were you ever bullied? Were you ever were you ever a bully? Talk about being an upstander. How do you stand up for others?
Right.
And there are many different ways to do that. So it initiates these important conversations that go beyond the academics. It goes beyond, okay, what happens, in our home? What happens in our community outside of the school? And, it helps kids identify wrongs and apply what they have learned to those situations.
Right. So. I concur with you. The sharing part would be a strong proportion of it, because that is the part that, so first part's learning, mm-hmm. taking in the information. The second part is journaling, writing about it and detailing. But in most humans, if not all of them, mm-hmm. the sharing part of anything is pretty tricky. People can mm-hmm. write a lot, mm-hmm. but a lot of people don't feel comfortable sharing their writings. Right. So I think that is, to your point, probably the biggest part of mm-hmm. it and the biggest icebreaker moment.
Yes, and even though students may not want to share what they wrote, I provide with each lesson conversation starters. So while you don't have to share, read what you wrote, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, there are conversation starters to help just start this conversation. And another part of it is also, really celebrating each other. The first lesson is like all about you. And so it's where kids really focus in on, all of their many positive qualities, from their physical attributes to their family, to things about their family, to their hobbies, to that's a whole variety of things. And kids are encouraged to tell other students, you are amazing at gymnastics. You are a good friend. You always are kind. Your red rimmed glasses are the coolest. So there's that type of sharing as well. Just to get kids to really just identify how special not they are, but the kid who sits in the desk next to them is,
How was your son taking the experience of college? Pandemic now. Now it's, but I think, can I guess and say that he was doing a lot better?
Yeah, he, when he left, graduated from high school and started college, he was excited. And he was excited because he felt free.
Right.
I think many graduating seniors, feel that freedom.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, if they're going on to college, a local college is still living at home, or they're going away to college, or they're getting a job, whatever they're doing, there's a sense of like relief. It's a huge achievement, and it's a sense of freedom.
Yeah.
And he loved the idea of just basically making the decisions and not being, told what to do all the time, and not having to go here and, and go there, and not having to deal with, these situations which made him feel bad all of the time. School bus, just dealing with the school bus, and just having a staff member constantly telling you what to do. He loved the freedom, and it's been a positive experience for him with the remote situation, the virtual classes. Now, he didn't like it at all. He was like really kind of like disappointed when that happened last spring, and it continues.
Right.
But I'm very proud of him, and I was worried that he has not spent a lot of time complaining. He has not spent a lot of time just fighting it. He has really just, he's doing what he has to do. Kind of like it is what it is.
Right.
I'm doing it. And he's actually overall done well. Some of his grades have definitely improved. Some have not been, as great. But overall, the experience, he's doing well with the experience.
How has the reception been with your book? Have you been able to get in front of teachers and educators, and maybe officials and having it at the schools? How's that been?
Yes. So I launched this program at the end of 2019.
Okay.
So I started to doing a little bit of marketing at the end of 2019, and in January, the first school agreed to use the program. Implementation was to begin in March. And then there was a lockdown. School announced on a Friday that, we're going remote. I was supposed to implement in that Monday. So, remained in contact with the principal. It's Scott Elementary in Naperville. And, we were like, okay, we will revisit this over the summer, and we'll figure something out. And so that's what we did. The fall, over the summer, I created a remote version of it, and met with the principal, and he was like, let's do this. Let's do this.
Congratulations.
And, exactly. And so...
That's right.
And there continue to be some challenges because, as you know, going into the fall semester was not a straight line.
Not at all.
Different districts and different schools kind of did things differently. But with some schools, they pushed back the start date. Some schools started off, we're going to be hybrid. They didn't. So now we're going to be remote. So things there were a lot of back and forth. Okay, so we're remote now, but in October I'm going to go hybrid. Or there was constant changes, and so it was hard to kind of figure out when is a good time to get this started.
Yeah.
Finally, I think it was in October that we finally started, with the remote thing, and it went very well. There are three, this was for the fourth grade, there are 3 fourth grade teachers, and they were all wonderful. The principal is an amazing man. He was so supportive. And everyone just said, they were excited about the program, and we just did it. And
Scott Elementary?
Scott Elementary in Naperville.
Shouts out to Scott Elementary in Naperville.
Shouts out to Scott Elementary. To Principal Hugh. It was wonderful. And so going forward, I'm in conversations with some other schools. My goal is to implement into several other schools in the fall. And I will also introduce a second class called What's Your Superpower, which is based on my first book, What's Your Superpower. I do not have a copy.
What's your superpower?
What's Your Superpower?
Okay.
And that is actually a foundational class, and which is all about reminding kids of their many gifts. And it's just a really, really kind of an introspective self-reflection type of thing. You know, I mean, this book does some of that, but it's more about, you know, just respecting differences in general.
Mm-hmm.
This is really about kids looking at their gifts, embracing them, thinking about, you know, things that they love and things that they you know, aren't excited about, and just giving them that mindset change and that foundation of feeling empowered. And then future classes kind of build upon that.
What's a teacher, or excuse me, who's a teacher that you remember?
Oh, from when I was you know, that's a tough question. I don't know. I always loved school. I always loved school. And I always went into school with excitement. So, and I've always had, for the most part, wonderful, wonderful teachers. I would say a teacher which is pretty memorable and had some impact on me was a high school teacher. She was my Latin teacher. In high school I went to, Latin was a requirement from 8th grade until 11th grade. And in 12th grade, I just loved it. In 12th grade, I was the only student in my Latin class, because when it was no longer a requirement, nobody wanted to do it but me. And but you know, she was always so encouraging. She would take me. We went to Latin operas, and she just saw how enthusiastic I was about it, and she again was one of those teachers that just went above and beyond. You know, I have this student who is into this, and so I'm just going to support that and encourage it. So yeah, I would say her name was Mrs. Etris. Yes.
Shout out to Mrs. Etris too. That's
exactly.
Well, we will do our very best to help by promoting and sharing that book and letting folks know about it. I can have that copy, right?
Yes. You
okay.
Here you go.
I really do like this artwork too, by the way.
Thank you.
So why is different awesome is the first, and then what's your superpower is the second book.
Well, it's the second class. What's Your Superpower was actually the first book I wrote and published in 2017. And this one I think was at number 4. I have 6 books altogether.
What are those books?
What's Your Superpower? What Makes You So Awesome, which is very similar to What's Your Superpower, but it features boy characters. How's Your Summer Gonna Rock? And that's all about basically having an amazing summer, but again, it focuses on that self-reflection, that growth over the summer. And what makes you believe in yourself, and then why is different awesome. And then my most recent book I published in 2019, and that's called What Are Your Big Dreams? That's all about goal setting.
What are your big dreams?
What are your big dreams?
The show ends on a positive note. What is your message to the youth of today?
My message is to love you. Just love you. Love yourself. Because all of us are amazing. All of us have gifts, to this world. Our presence is a gift. And just love you and don't worry about others loving you. You are enough.
So the book the program is Wise, Different, Awesome. And we had a great time speaking with you today.
Thank you.
This was a very informative, and for me it was reflective too, because I was, as we were talking, I thought about my own, middle school and high school experience, and the highs, the lows, the deficiencies, and all of that in it. So I do appreciate being able to reflect, and I'm proud that I get the chance to hear and share something else that could help another youngster.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For all of our listeners and viewers, you guys have a safe, blessed, positive, motivated day, and we will see you back here tomorrow for another great episode. Peace.
Thank you.
Good one.